Hi, this is CK at CK Education, and today I want to talk about becoming a white belt. This isn't about martial arts, actually. I love martial arts, and I've been doing it for a long time, and I've always loved it ever since I was a kid. When I was growing up, I watched Bruce Lee movies, and a lot of the people, I guess, guys my age, Bruce Lee was like the first. Martial arts hero, that someone we saw on TV who did things that we never seen done before. So it was amazing stuff, and we all imitated him. And I still love martial arts to this day. But it's not about martial arts, but I want to use a metaphor of always having a white belt mentality. I remember this was back in about 2001 or 2002. When my wife and we moved here to Maryland from Seattle. We lived in this apartment in Annapolis, Maryland, actually, Maryland's capital, and we befriended this couple, and this guy, they were pretty cool, and they were nice, and we had dinner together, and we talked and hung out sometimes. But this guy, he was a Caucasian guy. He was a black belt. He had a black belt in, I think, Kempo karate or something, one of the karate styles. And he was a black belt in that. He was very proud of his black belt, and he had it framed, and he showed me his black belt. It was very cool. And then he said, I wanted to learn a different art. And I said, well, why didn't you? And he says, because when I went there and talked to the instructor, he said that I had to start out as a white belt in that art, even though I was a black belt in karate already. And so he sort of felt disrespected, I guess. And so he said, yeah, forget about it. I'm not going to do it. Why would I go back to white belt when I'm a black belt in this art? And I always thought, now I didn't say anything to him at the time, but I thought about that at the time. And I still think about it today and I think that was a wrong mentality. I think that was a wrong attitude. If you're going to learn a different art, a different style, of course you go in as a white belt, because you are a white belt in that art. You may be a black belt in Kempo karate, but you're a white belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. If you're a black belt in Jiu-Jitsu, but you're going to go learn Taekwondo, then you're a white belt in Taekwondo. If you're, so it's like this. If you're a black belt in engineering, you're a white belt in sales. And that's exactly how I was. In fact, I was a white belt in both when I started. So I think that is so important in order to keep improving, in order to grow and continue to get better in your life in all areas. You always have to go in and you always have to have that white belt mentality. I don't know anything. I want to learn. I'm eager to learn. I'm open-minded. I want to, absorb the information and the instruction that I'm given. I want to learn. I want to grow. I want to get better. I want to become a higher belt in that thing. When I graduated from college, I felt like, even though I had an engineering degree, I felt like I was a white belt in engineering. Because first of all, I had zero experience in the engineering field. I just had a degree in engineering, which really means nothing. And even in school, I didn't do very well. It was really difficult for me. So I felt like I knew nothing and I had done nothing. I have zero experience. So, of course, I felt like a white belt in engineering. So I was not very confident in that. But right after graduation, I went into sales and management. I did sales, management, recruiting, this kind of thing. And when I went in, I had a white belt mentality. I literally had people there who worked there. We started talking. They're like, "Oh, where'd you work before this?" And I said, "Oh, I didn't. I just graduated college." They said, "You graduated from college? What kind of degree do you have?" And I said, "I have an engineering degree." And they were all surprised. They looked at me like, "Then why are you here? I mean, you don't need an engineering degree. You don't even need a college degree to do this. I mean, you could have just graduated from high school and done this job." I wasn't offended though. When I heard that, I didn't feel like, oh, I think I'm in the wrong place. It didn't matter to me whether I had a college degree or not, or whether it didn't matter that the people around me, and some of them had college degrees and some of them did not. It didn't, offend me. It didn't hurt my ego. I just felt like, well, it's a living, and I don't know anything about sales, so I'm coming in here as a white belt, and I want to learn all the moves. I want to learn how to do this. And so I did, and I learned with a humble heart and with an eager mind. And I just went in there, and I didn't act like I knew something. I didn't act like, start talking about things I learned in school or anything like that. I mean, I just really focused and learned that thing. And so I learned how to become a good salesman and a good recruiter and a good manager. That was sort of the beginnings of that. And so that was a very, very valuable time in my career because I went in with the white belt, mentality. From there, I went into my first engineering job at the Boeing company. And again, when I went in there, I didn't act like I knew something. I didn't act like I was trying to prove something, or I went in as with a white belt mentality. I don't know anything, but if you guys will train me, if you'll help me, if you teach me, I will do my absolute best to improve and get better and learn this stuff. And they hooked me up with a guy named Bruce, who became a good friend. I still keep in touch with him once in a while. And Bruce, I went in as an engineer. He had about 6 or 7 years more experience than I did. And so, but he was an industrial analyst, they called him. And in the hierarchy of the company, in the positions within the company, an industrial analyst is, quote, lower than an engineer. So I was technically in I guess, a hierarchically, a higher position than he was. But I didn't act like that at all. I didn't think like that at all. I always, and even to this day, consider my friend Bruce to be a veteran, more of a veteran than I am, or I ever will be. And even when I was working with him, I never felt like, well, I'm an engineer, you're only an analyst. I never had that attitude. I never thought that. I always try to learn from him, and he was so patient with me. He taught me so many things to help me in so many ways. And I really, really appreciated that. But I always had that white belt mentality, even when I was there. And so even as I became better and I started mastering certain things and I got really good at certain things, I still had that mentality. Bruce will always have 6 or more years experience more than I have. And there are many things that he knows that I did not, and I do not. And I've always acknowledged that. I'll always give him the credit for that. I think that's very important. Even within that company, when I moved to a different plant, different area where they build the smaller planes, and I went to work for another boss, and I met other people there, other mentors and other people who helped me learn different things. And when I encountered them again, I had a white belt mentality, and I would go and I would ask questions. And again, I was an engineer, but I was talking to people on the shop floor who were, I guess, at the lower, almost one of the lowest positions of the hierarchy in the company. But again, some of these people have been working there 15, 20 years. They forgot more than I knew. And I never forgot that they know so much more than I do. And I never acted, like a big shot, or I wasn't a big shot. I just always wanted to and was eager to learn from these people something, because they know things that I don't know. And there's always people, regardless of position, they know things and they have experience that I don't have, and they know things that I don't know. And so I just think it's so important to have this white belt mentality. Even if you're a black belt in a certain area, when you go into an area that you don't know, you just become a white belt. You just become humble. You just become open and eager and just to learn, and you're taking notes. And, I heard of the late Zig Ziglar, who was a best-selling author and probably one of the greatest motivational speakers of our time. He passed away years ago, but I remember hearing a story about him, and he was a very accomplished writer, a writer, a bestseller, and he has sold millions of books, and people all over the world knew him, and people flocked to his seminars, and on and on. But he would still go to seminars, and he would still be in the audience, right in the front seat when he was at a seminar, and he was listening to other people speak and other speakers. And I heard a story about him, and Zig Ziglar would be taking notes. The great Zig Ziglar, the guy who probably can teach all these guys, was still taking notes, and said, there's still things that I can learn from these guys. Oh, these guys are saying good things. Wow, I didn't think of it that way. I liked how he put that. And he would take notes on that. What a wonderful example of a white belt mentality. And I think this is so important. And regardless of whatever you're learning, whatever you are good at, when you get into something yet that you do not know, I've seen a lot of people act like they're black belts in that thing, but they really don't know anything in that thing. In the other thing, they know a lot about A, they know nothing about B, but they go to B and they get into this area, which they know nothing about, but they act like because they're a black belt in area A, that they can act like they're a black belt in area B. I think that's a big mistake. And I think that inhibits your growth, inhibits respect that people will have for you. It's better to just be honest and humble and just say, you know what, I don't know anything about this at all. And I really like to learn. And if someone is more experienced than you are, or someone has more knowledge than you are, it's not an ego thing. It's not a competition. You're just thankful, you're grateful that they can share some of that knowledge with you. And I think if you take that the same mentality into your job, into your career, and whatever you're doing, I think it'll bode better for you. And then that you'll have more success, and you just learn more. More people will be willing to help you. And I think that you'll be able to grow faster. You'll be able to find success faster if you do that, rather than letting your pride get in the way. I don't think it's a pride thing. I think that it is very important always to have a white belt mentality. Even if you are a black belt in a certain area, is it not better to have a white belt's mentality? Because you can always learn something, even in the area that you are an expert in, you can always learn something from people, many times from unexpected people. So I would encourage you to always have this white belt mentality. And so thanks for watching this video up to this point. And until my next video, please stay well.